Oh, Mark Carney. Sweet, gentle, spreadsheet-hugging Mark Carney. The man strutted into that first minister's meeting like he was about to host a TED Talk on polite governance, economic modeling, and whatever social equity investment portfolios are supposed to mean these days. But instead of a policy roundtable, he walked straight into a political reckoning, a full-blown prairie-powered piledriver. And standing dead center, unshaken and boots firmly planted, was Danielle Smith, Premier of Alberta and the newly crowned slayer of soft-handed Ottawa elitism. Carney brought his signature smug calm, the kind that's lulled London bankers into comas for decades. Let's talk about pathways, frameworks, dialogues, he said. Classic globalist gobbledygook. He thought he was entering a classroom. In reality, he stepped into a Western Canadian cage match. Danielle Smith didn't stroll in for photo ops or empty slogans. She charged in with the righteous fury of Alberta's farmers, oil patch workers, and ordinary citizens, folks fed up with being taxed, lectured, and treated like a glorified ATM by Ottawa's central planning circus. Carney came with buzzwords. Smith came with charts, data, and backbone. And when he started his velvet glove routine about national unity and sustainability, he had no idea he was already flat on the mat. But just as Carney was revving up for his big finale about transformational fiscal modeling, Danielle Smith cut through the waffle like a combine tearing through a wheat field. No shouting, no theatrics, just cold, hard facts doing the yelling for her. She laid bare the reality. Regulatory strangulation, billions in equalization siphoned off to bankroll eco-vanity projects in cities that treat diesel like a hate crime, pipelines killed by bureaucrats who've never left downtown Toronto, and Indigenous consultations weaponized not to empower, but to stall. When Carney tried to retreat into his favorite ESG lullabies, Smith shut it down like a hockey dad calling out a soft ref. According to one source, the mood shifted instantly. Carney wasn't the planner anymore. He was the punching bag. One by one, the premiers began nodding. Saskatchewan was with her. Manitoba was with her. Even a few of the Atlantic provinces, typically too polite to challenge Ottawa, started leaning in. What began as Smith standing alone turned into a full-blown resistance chorus. And Carney? Outnumbered faster than you can say carbon offset credits. This wasn't a debate. It was a revolt. Smith didn't need to physically throw Carney out. She evicted him politically. By the end of the meeting, he looked less like a prime minister-in-waiting and more like an intern who accidentally joined the wrong Zoom call. He clung to buzzwords while Smith dropped constitutional challenges, legislative alternatives, and even floated referendums and sovereignty plans if Ottawa didn't wake up and smell the diesel. And let's be real about Mark Carney for a second. The man wasn't elected. He was installed. Handpicked by Bay Street elites and global finance bros who think democracy is something you invest in quarterly. Like he's some kind of carbon-neutral messiah, they parade Mark Carney around in Times New Roman press releases and CBC puff pieces as if he's Canada's second coming. But out in the real world, the one with furnaces, diesel trucks, and folks who actually pull the resources out of the ground to fund Ottawa's latte habits, he's a ghost in designer shoes. The man has no constituency, no mandate, and no clue. He's not a leader. He's a spreadsheet in a suit. Danielle Smith, though, she's the real deal. She didn't beg for Ottawa's approval. She didn't grovel. She demanded change. And when she did, she exposed something the Laurentian elites never saw coming. Solidarity. Not just from Alberta, but from other provinces who've spent too long silently swallowing Ottawa's chokehold. This wasn't just Alberta's stand, it was a national wake-up call. And don't forget Pierre Poilievre. While Carney was getting politically pantsed by Smith, Pierre was already 10 steps ahead. He's been warning Canadians for years about the unelected banker class treating the country like one big Excel file with trees. And now, that warning is sounding more like prophecy. If Smith lit the fire, Poilievre brought the matches. Together, they're showing Canadians what real leadership looks like. Guts, grit, and actual solutions. Not more mushy, middle-of-the-road nonsense dressed up as inclusive economic ecosystems. And while legacy media tries to spin this into some sanitized headline like "Constructive dialogue leads to fresh opportunities," Canadians know better. They saw what happened. They heard the truth in Smith's voice. And they felt it in her unshakable stance and refusal to let Alberta be silenced again. Managed or milked. Either way, the West has had enough. For too long, it's been patient, polite, overlooked, and overtaxed. That chapter Closed. Mark Carney's globalist shtick didn't just fall flat, it evaporated. His carefully curated image went poof the moment he realized you can't speak in riddles when you're up against someone with 50 years of pent-up frustration and the constitutional receipts to match. He walked in with glossy policy briefs. She walked in with reality. He tried chess with cardboard pieces. She flipped the whole damn table. And here's what's wild. The provinces noticed. This wasn't a one-off scuffle. It was a masterclass. Danielle Smith didn't just take a stand, she offered a blueprint. A way to fight back that doesn't rely on hashtags or sound bites, but on law, logic, and pure Western backbone. Across the country, premiers are taking notes, because if you've ever played nice with Ottawa, you know how that ends. You get steamrolled. But now, finally, someone's saying no more, and she's not saying it alone. Carney may have left with his title intact, but let's not kid ourselves. He looked like a man who just watched his entire playbook shredded and tossed into the wood chipper. Danielle Smith didn't need drama. She didn't shout. She didn't posture. She exposed him, pulled back the curtain on the well-spoken banker act, and revealed what many suspected. It's just an empty suit under there. No mandate, no answers, no grit. And the beauty of it? Smith didn't need to break decorum. She didn't throw punches, just facts. Because when truth walks into a room that's been built on spin and silence, it doesn't need to yell. This wasn't just a moment. It was a movement. And if Carney or the Laurentian elite think they can just smile for the cameras and wait it out, they're in for a rude awakening. The West is wide awake. The masks are off. The gloves are off. And if Danielle Smith has her way, the shackles are coming off next. So to the lobbyists, the bureaucrats, the elites, brace yourselves. The game has changed. Again, because next time, they won't just bring facts. They'll bring a movement. The focus group fanatics, the downtown suits, the policy wonks sipping imported coffee while drafting reports about communities they've never stepped foot in, it's over. Your grip on this country is slipping, and Danielle Smith just put you all on notice. The West isn't whispering anymore. It's roaring. And it's not asking for a seat at the table. It's flipping the table over and building its own. Mark Carney can slink back to his cozy corner of the global elite, where PowerPoints, pass for policy, and cocktail receptions substitute for accountability. Because in real Canada, rural Canada, the people just saw someone take on the establishment and win. Not with slogans, not with spin, but with strength, with spine, with truth. History won't care about Carney's smooth delivery or carefully rehearsed lines. It'll remember Danielle Smith, the premier who didn't flinch, the one who refused to bow, the one who looked the system in the eye and said, "Not today." And as for Carney, he'll be remembered too, just not the way he imagined. Not as a leader, but as a cautionary tale, a symbol of everything the West is done putting up with. So here's your warning, Ottawa. This isn't just Alberta rising. It's every forgotten voice from Manitoba to BC, every working Canadian tired of being talked down to. Danielle Smith lit the spark. Now the fire's spreading. God bless the West, and God help the next technocrat who walks in thinking spreadsheets beat steel.